You may see this bird and think it's a duck, or maybe some kind of water chicken. But in reality, it's not close to those at all. This is Fulica americana, the American coot. And coots are actually closer related to cranes than to ducks. So what is this bird? And how the heck is it closer related to cranes? American coots are widespread throughout North America, breeding in the north and then migrating to the south come winter, as seen on this map. During autumn migration, coots travel in large flocks, and a group of coots is often called a covert of coots. American coots live in wetlands and lakes throughout North America, where they dive underwater to eat plants, such as grasses and algae, in addition to aquatic invertebrates and small fish and even frog tadpoles. To identify coots from other water birds, note the traditional bird beak, as opposed to the flat bill to separate it from ducks. And to separate it from other rails, which are closely related, note the larger size, tendency to swim more often, and if it's standing out of the water, the distinctly lobed feet. If you're in continental North America or the Caribbean, the American coot is the only coot species, since the Caribbean coot was found not to be a separate species and was lumped into the American coot in 2016. Hawaii also has its own coot species, the Hawaiian coot, which has a much bigger knob called the frontal shield on the head. The moorhens, or gallinules, are the most similar to coots, with the common and purple being present in North America, though they are much brighter colored than the American coot. So how are coots closely related to cranes, when they look so different? Coots belong to the Neoaves clade, which contains all living birds except the ratites and the Galloanzarae, the duck, geese, swans, and chicken-like birds. Yes, that means coots are more closely related to all of these than they are to ducks or chickens. Within the Neoaves, coots belong to the gruiforms, which is sister to the charadriforms, which are the gulls, terns, and auks, as well as the sandpipers, including the original penguin, the great auk. You can watch our video on that species here. The gruiforms is split into two major clades. In the first clade, the cranes is sister to the limpkin, with that clade falling sister to the trumpeters. While in the second clade, the finfoots and the flufftails are sister to the railidae. The American coot belongs to the family Railidae, along with the rails and the gallinules. Railidae is a large family, containing 38 genera and 156 species. And many of the intrafamily relationships are uncertain, as many of these animals are rare and secretive, with complex relationships. However, Fulica is one of the most well-studied genera, and molecular phylogenetics places its sister to Gallinula, the gallinules, also known as the moorhens, with Paragallinula, the lesser moorhen, being sister to that pairing. Then Porzana, which contains the sora, in addition to the genera Poriphyrops, and Tribonyx, being sister to that clade. The genus Fulica contains 11 species, with Fulica americana being placed sister to Fulica alii, the Hawaiian coot, with that pairing sister to Fulica ardesiaca, the slate-colored coot, and Fulica leucoptera, the white-winged coot. American coots are monogamous and form pairs on arrival during the spring. Females do the majority of nest construction, though the male sometimes assists as well. The nest is constructed over water on platforms of floating vegetation or mounds within the water, such as muskrat dens. She then lays a clutch of 8 to 12 eggs, with both the male and the female working together to incubate the eggs. Common moorhens, redheads, and ruddy ducks have also been known to engage in brood parasitism of American coots, laying eggs in their nests for them to raise. While American coots also parasitize other coots, as well as Franklin's gulls. The young have reddish heads, and they follow and are cared for by both parents until they are able to survive by themselves. If the young still beg for food by roughly 70 days of age, the parent pecks their head to discourage this behavior. And by 80 days of age, the parents often drive the young from their natal territory. American coots make a variety of grunts, croaks, and squawks. For example, like all birds, coots are descendants of the non-avian dinosaurs, and are many raptorian dinosaurs themselves, which also contain the non-avian dinosaurs such as the raptors. The gruiforms diverged shortly after the KT mass extinction, roughly 60 million years ago, during the Paleocene. The Rallidae diverged from the rest of the gruiforms during the Eocene, which is roughly 50 million years ago. Fulica is thought to have evolved from a Gallinula-like ancestor in South America during the early Pliocene, roughly 5 million years ago. And there are a ton of extinct coot species found during the early Holocene, which is roughly 10,000 years ago, such as Fulica prisca, which is the New Zealand coot, Fulica montani from Chile, and Fulica chathamensis from the Chatham Islands. There's also a recently extinct species, the Masarine coot, Fulica newtoni, which was last reported on Reunion in 1672 and on Mauritius in 1693, after which it was driven to extinction by overhunting and the introduction of predator species by humans. The main predators of the American coot include harriers, eagles, great black-backed gulls, California gulls, and great horned owls. Interestingly, mammalian predators such as coyotes and foxes, that are usually included in this section, are not commonly successful predators of American coots, likely due to their wetland habitat. The American coot is an incredibly interesting species. Until next time on Animal Analysis. Subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed. And comment on which species we should analyze next. And maybe check out one of these other videos.